Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Zach Starr, and welcome to week 3 of the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show. It is Monday, June 22nd, 2020. I'm joined alongside my co-host, Gavin Tony. Gavin, another great week. Hopefully another good weekend for yourself. A lot in the world of sports to break down today. Gavin, firstly, how was your weekend?
It was good, man. Spent some time with the family, had a little bit of fun. How was your weekend?
It was great. Nice weather outside. Got an opportunity to go play some basketball, a little football. So pretty excited. But I'm more excited for this coming week here. We have a lot to go through, and so we're gonna start off first of all with Major League Baseball. We've already broken this down so many times, and it gets old and tiring. I get it. You watch a talk show and like, okay, we're talking about another baseball day, another day of talking about the MLB. But I'm peed off right now, and I'll tell you why.
Ooh,
Major League Baseball is a fraud. First of all, we've talked about this before. Major League Baseball, baseball in general, is not as popular as it used to be. So it's even bad enough when attendance is down at record lows, when people already aren't willing to watch. It's not as exciting as basketball. It's not doesn't have the fan base that football has. People can't even name most of the teams in Major League Baseball anymore. People can name teams pretty well in any other major sport. Baseball really hasn't been the hot topic. And it's not a hot topic right now for a good reason either. We've traced this back and we've talked about it. I am beyond in disgust with how Major League Baseball is currently handling their situation. Let's talk about some of the other leagues resuming. Why hasn't the NHL resumed? Because of health concerns. They plan on resuming though. Why is the NBA starting to question resuming? Because of making sure they're not distracting people from the racial injustice going on in this country. Why is Major League Baseball not returning? It's because of money. A lot of these players want their money. It's not just players, it's not just owners. I blame all of them. I blame the players, I blame the owners, I blame the commissioner, I blame everyone. This is reckless behavior and it's unjust for the people that want to sit down and watch baseball. If it was more about the health issues, if people still were voicing their opinions on the health issues, it would make sense. We understand, even though you're making a lot of money, to risk your lives, as Blake Snell put it. I still think that's a humiliating way to put it, but at least you have a stronger argument. To sit here and bicker over money or the games played or the amount of salary, but more importantly, the inconsideration of a lot of the players. If you're playing 60 games, why do you have the entitlement to get a full prorated salary? And even if you're making the league minimum, which is still $500,000, it's unjust. The amount of games you play in proportion to the total amount of the season really should be the amount of salary you get, which is still a lot for most of these guys. And if you have a problem with it, well, that's on you. I think it's a shame. I think that it's a great thing that Major League Baseball is starting to see a huge decline because they're losing interest in people. The biggest thing we talk about in football is a quarterback wanting more money, but it's still exciting to watch. People still care. Major League Baseball is a disaster. The organization is being run horribly right now. Not only is it losing interest from people, and Gavin's going to explain in a minute, talking about is baseball dead, but in a nutshell, I'm very disappointed with Major League Baseball. I think it's a disgrace. And Gavin, I'll let you go now.
you sure you had a good weekend? Cause I mean, look, baseball, and I'm gonna make this very very clear. And I said this once, and I'm gonna say it again. Baseball had a plan in the beginning of this whole thing, this whole everything, because baseball was being played at the time because spring training, and baseball had a plan where they were supposed to come back July 3rd, July 4th weekend, right? It is June 22nd. There's no plan or talk in sight at all. These guys are fighting over money. These guys, we only know what they're fighting over. And I think now, and Zach, I'm gonna make this to you too, and I want to hear what you think on this. Are they trying to use the health concerns as a cover up now? I mean, it's a little too late, in my opinion. You already made it about money. You made it clear that you guys wanted money. So how can you make it a point about health concerns now? But to be honest with you, yeah, the Phillies had an outbreak. Okay, that's going to happen. All right, let me give you a little life tip. This virus is not going to go away at all. We need to start remembering how to just. It's crazy that we have to tell people to wash their hands. That should be. We learned that when we were babies, basically. Wash your hands like all this after you use the bathroom. Now, like this comment says, MLB is only fun when you're at the stadium. Other than that, it's boring. That's true. That's why baseball is dead. And I want to ask you this question. I want to ask you this question. How do you feel about players that were, and I'm not even gonna say players. I'm gonna just say one player, Blake Snell, from going from, well, I want money, to saying when and where. How do you feel about that?
It's hypocritical. It's called eating your own words, and I think that funny enough, that's what it is. You take a look at these players; they're like, "Oh, I have so much leverage. I can say whatever I want. I'm on a Twitch stream where I'm just talking to a bunch of viewers. I'm not a Major League Baseball player where I'm going to be held accountable, which is pretty obvious now. If you're a person that's famous, if you ever say anything, you are going to be held accountable for it. So to go back on your words, I think it's shameful. You started this mess. They wanted to go to Arizona. Some players said they didn't want to. They said you can play in your own stadiums, but you have to stay in your region to play other teams. For example, the Phillies would play our division and the respective division in the American League, the Yankees, Red Sox, Orioles, Blue Jays, and Rays. That also didn't happen. I have no idea what the plans in place are because all I hear is a bunch of bickering. They're acting like little kids, and we've had people talk to us before. They're like, Gavin, Zach, I'm a grocery store worker. I'm the one risking my life. I'm out there helping people. How do these people get food? How does Blake Snell get his food? Does he not go to the grocery store? Does he walk out in full protective gear? Or is he just saying this because he thinks he has some sort of imaginary leverage? I'm saying most of the guys that are most outspoken about it happen to be the ones that are getting paid very well. Guys like Bryce Harper, I respect him a lot. But when he supports Blake Snell, and this is one of those things too, Gavin, where you talk about it, you can have that opinion. That's okay. You have to quote unquote go get yours. You don't say it in the middle of a pandemic. And now there are health outbreaks at Major League Baseball facilities, which shows that there are players that want to go out, they want to play. You can't use that as your excuse. You can't cover it up. The words have already been spoken. It's a disgrace what Major League Baseball is doing. It's a disgrace what some of these players are doing. However, I want to remind everybody that it's not all Major League Baseball players. They're not all bad. Some of them are trying to represent everyone when some of them just want to go play baseball. For example, in the NBA, we talk about guys who basketball's all they had. It's what saved them. It's what kept them from having to go out and having to live paycheck to paycheck, and they're able to support their families because of it. Major League Baseball, there's a lot of similar stories, but it's getting drowned out, and it's not getting drowned out because of guys like Blake Snell. It's getting drowned out because they can't agree to get the season started. I think it's a shame. I put the whole blame on everyone. The owners for getting too greedy at some point, the players for getting too greedy, and the commissioner for not trying to make it easier. He's supposed to be the liaison, and he has failed significantly. And now we're seeing all the devastating acts, especially when it's even worse. The other leagues are getting started again. The teams that were in the middle of their seasons versus teams that were preparing to start the season. I think it's a little easier to start a new season than to have to resume play in a whole different place. It's a shame. It is horrible, and it's embarrassing to Major League Baseball what they've done.
I'm gonna take it one step deeper than that. First of all, me personally, I never liked the commissioner. He lost a lot of my respect after how he handled the whole Houston Astros cheating. They know what they were doing, and I'm gonna say that for later in the week. Look, you're all right. You're right. Look, the thing about Major League Baseball is it's easier to. They weren't even in the season. All right, they were in spring training, which after spring training, for those who may or may not know, the record goes back to 0-0, so it doesn't matter what they do. Guys like Mike Trout, who haven't said much on the money issue that I know of, he may have said something to close relatives of his and people within his camp, but to publicly speak, he hasn't said a word. He's moved in silence. Bryce Harper, the same, guys, Bryce Harper, I love Bryce Harper, all right? You made a lot of money last year. All right. Don't forget you got endorsement deals with Nike, Under Armour, and so on and so forth. Come on now. Now, if you want to get technical, and the guys that really could complain about money is the minor league systems. I remember the Oakland Athletics said they wasn't going to pay their minor league systems. And it's bad enough the minor league systems don't make any money to begin with. So how you going to cut their check out when they're the guys that have no money? It would be a different story if players in the minor leagues would be like, well, hey, we need something. Okay, because they don't have nothing. They don't have much to begin with. These guys are millionaires that are complaining. There's no love for the game. It's two kids. It's like brother and sister. They're just fighting the whole day. No side is listening to each other. And it's just a disgrace. This blast. I never seen something so dysfunctional in my life.
I agree with you to a point, and again, I can't emphasize how upset I am with how they're all handling it. And we have to break it down too. These guys who get drafted out of high school and college, they want to go out there and they want to prove what they can do. They aren't making a lot of money right now. Relatively speaking, if you're in the higher level minor leagues, if you have a nice signing bonus, you're getting a good amount of money. But not every player is. A lot of guys really actually have to go out and work second jobs if you're down in the early levels and you didn't get a massive signing bonus. Not everyone's getting $330 million over 13 years. But there are guys out there who want to prove that they're worth money. You go out there, you show up, you move up in the system, and you want to go out and prove yourself. They're missing out on those opportunities. This could be the one season where they have the opportunity, because if they decide not to have this year and they draft a flashy new prospect, and for example, if it's a pitcher and they get buried in the depth chart, it's going to be upsetting for them. They're going to have to go out and, yes, get a job like the rest of us do. You're not going to go on and be a millionaire. I'm not saying that you should, but we understand that these Major League Baseball players, they work hard, that they become successful. They have a right to make money. Do they make grossly much more than people that might contribute more to society? Sure. But that's unfortunately how the sports world works. And it's upsetting even more when you have the guys at the top bickering about money. But what about the guys at the bottom who have no platform to speak on? Instead of going out and saying, we have younger guys who want to prove they're worth the money, let's just get a season started, regardless of how much we're making, they're going out and talking about themselves. I have to go and get mine. Blake Snell, I'm sure you're doing very fine. Do not start lecturing the people that try to watch and enjoy your sport and buy tickets for your games and buy your uniforms and buy hats and buy apparel. Do not go out and alienate your audience. That's how you lose fans. That's how the MLB is dying. Is it time to give up on the MLB? That's the essential question here. I think so. I am so upset, so devastated that this league, not only for the regular players, not only so that we can sit there and watch and say, okay, we've had stressful days working in the real world. Let's sit down and watch a relaxing night of baseball. First of all, it's not even exciting to watch on TV unless your team is good. And it's been a while since in Philadelphia our teams have been good. But more importantly, there's a minor league system. Guys are trying to get up there. We talk a lot about the economy in this country, and everyone's talking about the coronavirus effects on people that are trying to make a living for themselves. And similarly, in a similar way, Major League Baseball players are fine, but the minor league guys trying to get up there, trying to get their name out there, trying to figure out, okay, can I dedicate the rest of my life to playing baseball, or do I have to go out and maybe go back to school or maybe do something like this so that I can get on with my life? You are leaving questions unanswered, and it's unfortunate and it's devastating for these guys who don't have a platform to speak on. So I think for Bryce Harper and Blake Snell, if you want to correct this, talk about the younger guys and create an actionable plan. If the owners care about their players, if they want success, if they care about long-term economics, and we know that owners care a lot about that if they become so successful like they have. John Middleton made his money in capitalism by selling his cigar company. You think about all those things, it starts at the bottom too, because that's your organization. If you get guys that come from the bottom and can work their way to the top, props to them, respect to them. You need to give these guys opportunity. That's why I'm most upset. Not because we can't watch millionaires fight each other and then go play a kid's game, but because there's younger guys who need to figure out, do I need to go back to school so that I can go out and get another job that I can make money and take care of my family? And second, or could they go out and actually become Major League Baseball players and have an opportunity to play the sport that millions around the world who don't make as much money as they do have an opportunity to do?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave it like that. Well said. Well said.
All right, great. So we're going to have to continue this conversation because we talk to people. We had someone on that does high school sports, and he's going on to play college ball, and he said it's unfair to these young guys, and especially we talk about opportunity. It's unfortunate, and we can't have double standards in this country. We talk a lot about the economy and protecting people and making sure they're getting paid a living wage. I'm not going to say that Major League Baseball players are underpaid or anything like that, but it goes the same way. You have to break it down from a humane element. There are people out there that are trying to figure out what they're going to do with their lives the same way someone does after high school. And these players, okay, am I going to go on and be able to play? The Gulf Coast League, you're not making a couple $1 million. You're trying to see if you can potentially go on to play in Major League Baseball. And when Harry was on, he spoke about the unlikeliness, 10% chance if you're a high school player getting drafted to make it to Major League Baseball. That means 90% are most likely going to have to go on and do something else so that they can support their families and give back to society.
I will say this, ladies and gentlemen, next time you are at your local store, small business owners too. We could also say small business owners are also being screwed over in this whole pandemic ordeal. But I'm going to leave it like this. Next time you are at your local food store, wherever you get food or anybody, just know they're the real ones. And if they were to complain about money, we would view them in a totally different way. But I will understand why. Because once again, they're going out there risking their lives to make sure they can come back home and make sure everybody has something to eat at the end of the day. So these guys who have millions, and I will say this, those guys are the real MVPs. Everyone at the supermarkets and that's working around locally in your local town, community, wherever you live, they're the real MVPs. They are what is keeping us going right now. Not baseball. Baseball is a disgrace.
And it would be nice for those people to go home and watch some sports in the afternoon. We talk about how it unites people. If you're out working hard, why can't you come home and watch some sports? Because those players are being very selfish. So it goes on so many levels, and very disappointed in Major League Baseball. Final point on that, buy local. Make sure you support your local businesses. There's a lot of them out there who are struggling right now. Let's prefer to buy local, stay strong, and hopefully throughout all this, we can, for the businesses that do matter, the ones where people are trying to feed their families, let's keep supporting them. Major League Baseball does not right now deserve our support. And I think that it is almost time to give up on the MLB. And as this continues to develop, we're going to continue talking about it on the show. And we're not going to switch to one of our better sports now. And I know Gavin has one more thing he's going to mention as soon as I bring him back in. And we're going to talk about a trade to Dallas. Adams could be potentially going to Dallas. Jamal Adams has requested a trade from the Jets. We broke it down on Friday. Gavin, did you have one more thing you wanted to mention before we move on?
Yeah, real quick. I want to say from both of us, thank you to those that are working right now. We really do appreciate it. Baseball players don't at the moment. Jamal Adams. Yes, I don't think he's going to Dallas, though. There's too much money. They don't have enough money to spread around for everyone. They didn't even give Dak money. All right, Dak had to sell for the $31.5 million he just got now. And they're still got to pay him down the road. I think all this problem started. You shouldn't have paid Ezekiel Elliott first. He should have never came first. Because running backs have a lifespan that's not that long in the NFL. They take the most amount of hits besides a quarterback. And because their offensive line is really good, Dak doesn't get hit that much. Now, having said all that, they have, I want to say, 5 players that are making over $10 million this year. Put all that together, that's $50 million right there. How can you bring in Jamal Adams when you don't have any money to even support the people that you already have there? I like the idea. It's kind of funny to me because, I hate the Cowboys, and Cowboys fans are delusional, and they always think they're going to win when they're really not. But where are you guys getting this money from? Are y'all wishing? Is there a genie that I do not know of? Are you guys taking out loans from other teams? Where are you trying to get this money from? I don't see you being able to afford Jamal Adams, nor give up a lot. Oh, no, Jerry Jones, he'll give up an arm and a leg and everything else for his players, but he won't pay them. Just ask Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is one of the most underpaid quarterbacks, well, until he signs us today, but underpaid. He barely made over $10 million, I think, if I'm reading that correctly, or if I read that correctly. He barely made over $10 million his whole NFL career. And meanwhile, guys like Ezekiel Elliott and everybody else, more like Ezekiel Elliott, because he shouldn't have got paid yet, and his production was way down last year. That's just a disgrace.
I'll make it pretty clear from the monetary side for that team. Gavin, let me ask you this quickly. One team. When I say success, what team do you think of?
Like all-time success?
Our lifetime, past 20 years.
I guess you could say the Patriots. You got to think about
New England Patriots.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a couple numbers about the Patriots. Tom Brady's never been the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. He averaged $25-26 million on each of his deals, took a hometown discount for his entire career. James White, never been top 5, top 10 running back money. Does he deserve it? He could. He's a very big role player. Sonny Michel is not going to get himself a fat bonus after this deal. He might leave the team. Some players have left so they can get money. They say you go to New England to get the rings, you go somewhere else to get paid. You think of their defense. Stephon Gilmore's not even in the top 10 of the highest paid cornerbacks. He might be after his next deal because he deserves it. But the McCourty twins taking discounts to be on the team. Gavin, what's the trend there? None of those players are the highest paid at their position, correct?
No, none of them, and they never have. I do think
how many rings do they have in the past 20 years?
Oh my God, there's too many. I can't even count.
6.
They have
the notable 6 for the GOAT having 6. So tracing it back to Dallas Cowboys, it's a strong precedent that teams do not win when you give mass extensions to their players and you overpay them. Let's talk about the quarterback position for a minute, and we're going to trace it back to Jamal Adams and the current situation in Dallas. You talk about Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Mahomes is a freak of nature. He deserves top-tier money, but we don't know if he's going to win another Super Bowl. Drew Brees won a Super Bowl on a discounted contract, hasn't won since. Peyton Manning was able to win on a massive deal with Denver because of the great defense. Russell Wilson has not won a Super Bowl since his massive extension. Remember, he needed his defense, as great as Russell Wilson is. Carson Wentz and the Eagles. I mean, Carson Wentz was on his rookie deal when the Eagles won. It was Nick Foles that finished the job, but they're able to spread money around better. I don't know if the Eagles are going to be able to return to that after they paid Carson Wentz. And so the New York Giants, they have 3 years right now to have a Super Bowl window before Daniel Jones gets an extension, or Saquon Barkley, who I think probably does deserve to get paid, and he might get paid. The Panthers are never going to win a Super Bowl with McCaffrey as their highest paid player. Jared Goff and the Rams, wasn't it his rookie deal? Wasn't it his rookie deal they went to the Super Bowl? How'd they do the year after he got his massive extension? You paid Todd Gurley, and now you're screwed. Name me one team in the past few years. I'm trying to think right now. Cam Newton was on his rookie deal. I'm trying to trace back 2014. We're talking about Tom Brady and Russell Wilson. You keep going back. Colin Kaepernick was on his rookie deal. There's a pattern here. Teams that don't overpay their players win because they can afford to spread talent around the ball. And so bringing in Jamal Adams would be a big mistake. First of all, Dallas already broke rule number 1 in my book of being a front office. Do not overpay a running back. All right? My philosophy to building a good football team is simple. Tackles, guard, center. In that order, prioritize them. You can pay them if you want. Your defensive front, pay them first. The linebackers are replaceable. Get one really good corner and one good safety. The other 2 spots are replaceable. And never pay a running back. I don't care how good they are because they don't last long. Now, maybe they could say, okay, if you hit a certain amount of goals on your rookie deal, you'll get a bonus for the work you've done. But I don't think that paying a guy for what he's done in the past really makes sense because you agree to the rookie deal. You can always ask for more money. There can be more incentives. I think there should be. I think we should modify quarterback contracts. I think we should modify running back contracts so there's more incentives when they're young and healthy. But guys are going to get hurt. I don't think Derrick Henry should be paid the way that he operates because of the fact of how many carries he gets. I think he's a great running back, but I think he shouldn't be getting paid from the financial perspective. I think they should get paid good money, but they shouldn't be overpaid. So I think that – yeah, go ahead.
So, sorry to cut you off. Pat Mahomes, right?
Yep.
Some people say Pat Mahomes might make that $200 million, which that's getting into like NBA type money. How do you feel about that? I mean, they brought everybody back, and we've seen Pat Mahomes is a game changer. Pat Mahomes, to start last year, he could. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go up the limit and say he could have had 2 Super Bowl rings if the guy doesn't go off sides. So when you look at quarterbacks like Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, what is their value? What do you think about paying them? I see what you're saying about rookie contracts because you got to look at the people that did it on rookie contracts. Lamar went 14-2. Obviously, Derrick Henry ran him over. You got to look at Pat Mahomes, had 2 AFC Championships appearances and an MVP and also 1 Super Bowl win. So I got to ask you, where do you draw the line? What would you take? Okay, let me rephrase that. What will it be for you to pay? Like, what is their accolades that to meet the certain mark to pay a quarterback so much?
Well, the question is, where does money go? And I'm going to make sure I answer that spot on for you, but I am going to mention the wide receivers and running back position. When those positions are depleted and your quarterback can win games for you, and it shows you don't need to overpay for a running back and a wide receiver to make your quarterback look good, that's when you pay them. Mahomes is great. You can't argue that, and he's going to get paid a lot of money. I think he is the best quarterback in the league. But he's never, he's always had great weapons around him. Damian Williams is a versatile player. Kareem Hunt, before he had his incident, he was a top-tier running back in the league. I think that Tyreek Hill's obviously a wide receiver 1. Sammy Watkins could potentially be a wide receiver 1. And a few other players on that team, Travis Kelce as well. Mahomes has never had to do it by himself. I mean, you can't argue how talented Mahomes is. But according to my theory, he shouldn't be getting paid a lot of money until he proves he can carry the team. And unfortunately, I mean, hopefully for him, Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, hopefully they don't all go down to the point where he'll have to prove it. I think he probably could do it. You take a look at a different situation. You take a look at a guy like Carson Wentz who had nothing, and he was able to carry his team. That proves you don't got to overpay for a wide receiver for Carson Wentz because he can make it happen without them. Now, you still need some assets around him so they can win more games. At what point do I draw the line? At the point where a quarterback definitively and consistently needs help so that they can get to the next level. And so very few players in the league can do that. I think Mahomes is one of those guys. I think Mahomes, I want to say Rodgers, but as the comment says, Rodgers hasn't won since his rookie deal. So I don't know if Aaron Rodgers can do that.
And he just got nervous.
So I think that where you draw the line is with that. Can your guys carry? And so we take a look at the New York Jets and Dallas Cowboys situation now. Let's get back to it. They overpaid Amari Cooper because they know that Dak Prescott's stats with and without him are significantly different.
Yeah.
When Zeke Elliott was out for those 6-game suspension, they did not win many games. They know Dak Prescott needs their running back. By overpaying those two guys, they say we don't trust our quarterback, and we're going to get to it next talking about that. But let's trace back to Adams first. They should not get Adams because they'll be stuck overpaying him, which just proves how lack of trust they have in their central core, which would be pretty much their offensive line, which is old, and Dak Prescott.
I do believe Jamal Adams does get his money. I got the opportunity to speak to Jamal Adams, and he is a fun, loving person. You know, he's a really great guy. Dude, Dallas is not where you're going to get paid. I can see where if you might want to win, but if you want to win, it's also not the destination you should go. Jamal, listen, you need to get out of New York, but you don't need to go there. I'll leave it like that.
All right, great. And that's going to shift us directly into our next conversation talking about Dak Prescott. And so we both made it pretty clear on this show how we feel about Dak Prescott. He is today apparently going to be officially signing his franchise tag worth about $31.5 million this year. So, Gavin, let's get some of your thoughts first. We just talked about we're getting hot off of what it takes for a quarterback, but let's specify. Let's talk about specifically Dak Prescott. You feel he's been significantly underpaid. He's been on his rookie deal. He's done so many great things, according to you at least, and I don't disagree with you. The success in him and his durability is pretty obvious. So let me ask you first, how do you feel about him conceding and signing the franchise tag, and what are some next steps from here?
Well, you have leverage. Think about it. We could be looking at another Kirk Cousins situation. But think about it. I want to draw the bigger picture, right? Let's say there's not that many fans this year. Your revenue obviously is going to go down. That means the money for cash is going to go down. If you try to do another franchise tag for Dak Prescott, guys, that's $50-something million in that next franchise tag almost, if I understand that correctly. Where are you getting this money from? Where? Look, I'm always for Dak Prescott. I think Dak Prescott is a decent, above average quarterback. Some games he doesn't look like. Some games he looks like he needs help. I will say this, though. Dak Prescott's been underpaid the whole time. And it's a shame that others got his money first. It's a shame that a guy, I believe, when it came to contract situation, if I'm Jerry Jones, which Jerry Jones clearly isn't thinking, if I'm Jerry Jones, I would have been like, well, wait a minute. Let's do Dak and let's do Amari. Because when Dak got Amari, it was like there was a great connection. I hate to say it, but they were even torching the Eagles secondary. And as Star, you would agree too. But look, the thing is this. As you go back to it, running backs shouldn't get paid first. I'm not saying they don't deserve to get paid. I think what Todd Gurley got, which was around $40 million, $50 million, that's for me. I like that. They went out and gave Ezekiel Elliott $90 million. Where in these last couple of years, Ezekiel has been worth $90 million. I could tell you reasons why he's not worth $90 million. Every year he's been in the league, there's always something wrong with him. There's always some unneeded drama that does not need to be brought to the team. That's a distraction to the team, and yet he gets paid first. Now, Dak Prescott, arguably the good boy, as you could say, went back in 2016 with the whole flag kneeling thing. You know, he was kind of Jerry Jones's pet. I know a lot of people called him out for it. But once again, Dak Prescott, if you can go back on it, Dak Prescott missed one practice his whole time that we know of. That was back page news. That wasn't a big deal. Ezekiel Elliott, let's see. There was an incident at the parade where he lifted the girl's shirt down. There was an incident where he was coming into the league that ultimately got him suspended 6 games. He was arrested recently. And not to mention, I'm pretty sure I'm probably missing one, but something else too. Yeah. And the whole contract thing. You went to Cabo. All right, you wasn't with the team, but you don't got to be there, but you went to Cabo and you came back and you didn't even have the same production as you always do. So I got to look at Jerry Jones. I'm like, you're telling me a person that's been a headache his whole career and the guy that's been the golden boy, as you want to say, the good boy, gets nothing? I don't. Nice guys finish last, everybody. Remember that. That's going to be the quote for today. Nice guys finish last.
Good point you bring up. I'm going to give you, I think it's 4 pillars when I define a quarterback. Mm-hmm. Number 1, behavior off the field. Dak Prescott checks off that box with flying colors. My dad's had an opportunity to meet him in person in Dallas a little while back, and so he's a good guy. As an Eagles fan, probably tough to say that. But Dak Prescott definitively is a nice, good guy. He makes good decisions. Obviously, he had the whole party during the coronavirus and things like that. But, I mean, that's not going to overshadow how good of a person he's been in his career. He stays out of trouble. Pretty clean cut.
Yeah.
So that's number one. Number two is, how are you with your teammates? When you take a look at every single game. I remember the Thanksgiving game. Before their first snap, he gave every single player in that huddle a fist bump. And that, for me, that resonated. I'm like, this is a good guy. He's a good leader. Checks off the first two boxes. Number three, what's his ability on the field for the basics? Can he drop back and make the throws? Can he do certain elements? He pretty much checks that box off. That's what separates an average quarterback to a good, great quarterback. And then finally, can he throw his team on their back when they face adversity? The first two pillars make a nice backup. If you can't really be that good on the field, but you're good off the field, it makes a nice backup. The third pillar makes you a franchise quarterback. Kirk Cousins, some other guys like that can fit in the system. That fourth pillar is what makes you elite. Can you throw your team on your back when they face adversity? Gavin, they had back-to-back games this year. They had the Thanksgiving game where they lost to Buffalo at home, and then they went on the road the next Thursday to play Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Both games they completely flopped in. They faced adversity, and they folded. Dak Prescott did not rise to the occasion. It wasn't one of those games. I know we talk about Carson Wentz a lot, but even sometimes it's Carson Wentz's fault where the defense lets him down.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. You let the Cowboys or you let the Bears drop, 21 points on you? You really couldn't outscore that? You really couldn't beat Buffalo in your own house?
Couldn't beat the Jets.
Like, it's not like they're putting up 40. It's not like they're dropping 40 points like the Vikings did against the Eagles, where Carson Wentz at that point is like, what am I supposed to do? I got 24 points unanswered, and my defense just keeps letting me down. I mean, at some point you have to scratch your head and say, gee, like, what's going on here? And they let, 12 points against the Saints? 12? Didn't even give up a touchdown? I don't want to hear anybody blaming the defense for how they went down last year. When they faced adversity, it's your quarterback's job to say, come with me. On the field, he checks off a lot of the boxes, and he's durable. That's the fifth pillar. He has durability. He's smart off and on the field. He is a good thrower, but he doesn't carry the team when adversity comes. And that's what separates the $25 and $30 million quarterbacks to the $38 to $45 million quarterbacks. Prescott's not up in that high range. I think he should get paid. But if I'm Dak Prescott, coming off of an 8-8 season, what kind of leverage do I think I have? You said he has leverage. He doesn't have leverage. But here's what I suggested to him. If you think you're that good of a quarterback where you deserve top-tier money, you have a perfect opportunity this year. Sign the franchise tag. Get paid more than most quarterbacks in the NFL at over $30 million. You can throw plenty of coronavirus parties too if you have that much money, Dak. But we talk about as well, get out there and play well. Your team's facing adversity. Amari's butthurt that Stephon Gilmore is shutting him down. Find another receiver. Run the ball. Do something. Talk to your coach. Say, hey, I think we should be doing something different. He has not demonstrated when adversity hits that he can excel. He demonstrated when everything's perfect to do his job. That's a franchise quarterback. But the difference there, if he wants his money, he has to prove he can carry that team. And unfortunately, unless Amari, CD, and Michael Gallup go down this year, he's not going to have to go through what Carson Wentz did and Ezekiel Elliott, I guess. I would consider Tony Pollard and Miles Sanders pretty equivalent to each other as far as their raw talent. And I would talk about if he can do all that, then instantly he's worth his money. Carson Wentz proved this year he's worth his money. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the fact that Dak Prescott has never put that team on his back when they faced adversity. When they went 13-3, they had Dez Bryant. They had a good defense. Sean Lee was still healthy. Last year, I get it. Van Der Esch got hurt. Gavin, I agree he should be getting paid 30, 33, 34 million tops. I don't think he's worth any more than that.
I want to throw a sixth pillar at you. I think you missed just one. Everything else is spot on. Dak Prescott struggles over top 5 defenses and teams that are above 500, which are playoff teams, and he faced a lot of them. So you could look at him and say, Dak, you don't really beat nobody. And you guys, people in the comments are probably like, well, what side are you on? I'm on both sides. I'm on your side, Dak, because you make valid points, and I'm on the side that Dak hasn't made any money. Look, Alex Smith, right? RG3. You could even argue Derrick Rose, and so on and so forth. They had career-ending injuries or injuries that stopped them from getting a lot of money. That's the side I'm on when it comes to this, because you never know. One day you can play, the next minute you could be out for the rest of your career. And you got to look at Dak and be like, well, this is all you have to show for it. I don't think you really live off that. Or you could probably, you might be able to get a job for NFL or ESPN. I don't think ESPN really throws out the money like that unless you're Stephen A. Smith. But look, my point is I'm trying to say is, but also you can make a case for it too is, well, you lost to Buffalo, who went to the playoffs this year, who's arguably could be top five defense. You lost to the Patriots, who has a top five defense most likely. You're going to lose to Baltimore this year. You can also make the case that you lost to a Drew Breesless Saints. No one say numbers. A Drew Brees, let that sink in. Teddy Bridgewater is not a scrub. All right, I love Teddy. I think Teddy Bridgewater, if he never got hurt, I feel like Teddy would have been a Super Bowl champion at some point with Minnesota. I think Teddy Bridgewater got unlawfully or treated unfairly on his way out of Minnesota because of one injury, and they never brought him back. They brought in Sam Bradford. I know it's Bradford, but he was bad. So you got to think about it. All right, well, back to that. So you lost to Drew Brees of Saints, you lost to the Bills, you lost to the Pats, you also lost to the Jets. Amari Cooper got locked up versus the Lions, which you arguably lost to. So, and then you lost to the a dysfunctional, injured Eagles team. Not dysfunctional with hating each other, just dysfunctional in injuries. And you lost to them. And the argument against that was your shoulder, which you threw the ball a lot of times. I don't think the shoulder really was hurting. So I gotta ask Dak. I said, Dak, I don't get it, dog. Like I'm supposed to rock with you about getting your money, but when I look in and when I read and I look and I in between the lines, you are not worth over which the amount you said, Zach. So what am I supposed to do? I don't get it. I do believe around it. I don't think he should be higher than Mahomes. I don't think Dak's money should set the market again because I think Mahomes is going to do that. But I will say this though. Yes, Dak has winning seasons with no result. Yes, you can make a case. Well, Aaron Rodgers got lucky, but I remember they were down the whole game to Aaron Rodgers' team. You could also make the argument too that they made it to they beat the Seahawks in the wild card, but they lost to the Rams and C.J. Anderson, who was running over people, which he's not known for. So with Dak, I gotta look at you. I'm like, you still against good defenses. All right, this is your year. If you want real money, they got you. CeeDee Lamb for when Amari Cooper gets locked up, you're supposed to throw to him and Michael Gallup. You got Ezekiel Elliott. I'm expecting you to come back a little bit like your old you, the you that got this $90 million. Because right now you look like a $40 million player. Last year looked like $40 million, not $90 million. That's $50 million difference right there, buddy. So you gotta show me something. Or don't show me nothing because I'm an Eagles fan, but you got to show other people that you got paid first, and this is the reason why. Enough said right there.
Definitely. I think it's just, if you want to talk about people are just saying, well, Zeke had a down year, you're just proving that Dak Prescott's not worth that kind of money. Dak, if you somehow find a way to hear this, and maybe our guest tomorrow might find a way to hear this, we're going to announce that at the end of the show. If you're hearing this, Dak, go out there this year. Prove that you are what you're worth. You are a very smart guy off the field. You're a good guy. Don't let your greed get in the way. Get on the field. Show that you're a top 5 quarterback money, and go out there and get your extension after the year. $31 million. Nothing wrong with taking that this year.
Yeah, but don't win the Super Bowl though, because I don't want to hear Cowboys fans happy about that.
Don't beat the Eagles either. But we'll continue talking about that another day as we continue this week with our record predictions. We spoke last week on that. We'll continue diving into it. But let's stick with the NFL. We're going to shift over to the Eagles. Not really a football news, but for those who may have heard, Dallas Goedert was involved in a sucker punch incident, according to the video. It's really that in a bar in South Dakota. So, Gavin, I'll start off. It appears a 29-year-old man today he was arrested for simple assault, and so he was sucker punched. Went to the hospital. It turns out he's fine. I imagine it's bruised. It hurts. Not going to doesn't affect anything as far as Eagles related things are concerned. So, Gavin, I'll let you go now. What are some of your thoughts on the situation?
Well, for once, it's going to affect his pride. I know some guys are going to toy with him about getting sucker punched. And for those who don't know, let me make this very, very clear. A sucker punch in a fight is the most cowardly act in the history of fighting. If you can't beat the opponent when they're looking at you, why are you fighting? Lane Johnson said, when and where? Let's go. Let's get it. You don't want to fight Lane. All right, Lane is strong. I stood next to Lane Johnson multiple times, and he is a tall person, so I don't think you want it. Sucker punching is cowardly act, and Dallas guys want you to know. I kind of wish he got back up and hit him, but I guess when you get sucker punched, you can't do that, which is fine. This man, I don't know what his name is, but he is the world's biggest coward, and I don't know what the charges you can get for assault, especially that degree. You knocked the man out and sent to the hospital. Apparently, there was blood too. The video wasn't in depth, so I don't know, Zach. What, in my opinion, it's cowardly that the fact that you did that. And one and two, you better not come to the Eagles game because I'm pretty sure if they see you, Lane Johnson and them boys are not going to be happy. They're called bodyguards for a reason.
Yeah, no, this has zero relevance whatsoever to the Eagles season. It's not like he sustained an injury where he's not going to be able to play. If there is one takeaway from this, it's how united this Eagles team is. For all these guys to get on Twitter minutes after the news broke and say, "Yo, I got you," or "when and where," which we know for baseball has been a common comment. But tracing it back here to the Goddard incident,
Wow.
here's what I've always loved about this Eagles team. And last year when the Orlando Scandrick stuff came out, it was started to get under my skin. I started to get really aggravated at the Eagles. I feel like they're always united. I feel like the locker room's always united and things like that. So this is obvious in this case. And if you watch any of the mic'd ups from this year or the Amazon series for the Eagles this season, it's pretty obvious that's a united locker room. They're close guys. And so that's why I have confidence in this team. That's why, most importantly, I love them. They're a humane team. None of their players really have any off-the-field issues from anything I know of. None of their players are getting suspended for things like Zeke's done or anything like that. So this team's a very ethical team. I like this team a lot. And more importantly, they're a united locker room. That goes from the coach. It goes from the organization with Mr. Lurie, Howie Roseman, all of them. So credit to everyone pretty much. And so obviously for Dallas, I hope you're feeling better, man. Really unfortunate for something like that to happen.
Real quick, yeah, this is not just a team. That's a family. They love each other. Even when I'm gonna take it back, when the whole back when the kneeing in the NFL, Malcolm Jenkins and Torrey Smith were like the kind of the big leaders, and Chris Long was like, "Hey, you're not the only one. Like we're going through this together. We're going to do it together." So this team has always been united and together, no matter who comes in, who comes out. And Orlando Scandrick, please, man, you were on Skip and Shannon, Undisputed, crying the next day, talking about how they're living in the past. Come on now. This is a family over here. You can't break a family. Even though there was some beefing going on between we don't know who. Some people think it's Alshon Jeffrey. Some people think it's Aguilar. Some people say it might be other sources. But this is still a family at the end of the day. They all love one another. They're not going to just sit there and let one trash talk or get sucker punched. So, yeah.
Not it shows on the field. It's an organization. We all know from basketball. Jerry Krause said that what's actually wrong in basketball. He said players don't win, organizations do. That's true in football. It's true in baseball. It's not true in basketball. And so in football, I think that is true. And it just shows you that we have a very nice organization. Jeffrey Lurie has been speaking out about the racial injustice going on. He's donated money. Carson Wentz has been outspoken about it. A lot of the players have really come together. And even just not just for the Dallas Goddard incident, but whenever real world problems are happening, it's not just an elitist organization where the players can just not talk about the issues, and so they do. And it just shows how united the Eagles are. A lot of teams are united, and that's why it's important, because when you face adversity, you have to be able to be strong and stick together.
Yep.
All right, great. So let's get on to our next topic, shifting it over to the NBA. Kind of quiet weekend for their news, but there is one report that I do want to talk about here. NBA players are expected to wear these so-called smart rings. They're supposed to track your temperature, a couple other elements. It seems like that should potentially track the early symptoms of the virus. Adam Silver's made it clear that they're not going to stop play if a player is tested positive. They'll just continue running testing for the other players, isolating that player, obviously, in those situations if they do get tested positive. Again, the 2-week period should be pretty fair as far as the ability to go out there and prevent getting the virus. So, Gavin, what are some of your thoughts?
Well, first, I want to read off just one comment on the last one. Lurie is a stand-up. He took Vic. That is true. He did take Michael Vick when no one else wanted to. So, back to this. I mean, smart rings, okay. Okay. Look, smart rings. Look, these guys are, some are even in their like 30s and stuff, 30, 35 and under. And the way how the NBA is kind of treating these players, they're treating them like toddlers almost, like or kids that aren't trusted. Like this is like detention in paradise, where you have to sit in this room for an hour. Those that go into detention would know. But smart rings, I mean, Okay, the first. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. I like the idea of being able to track the early symptoms and all that stuff, and I hope this works because maybe we can get that for society too, or something around that. But when it comes to tracking a person, that's where I have a problem with it. Look, all those players that are there are not going to be stupid and dumb in their movement on what they're going to be doing there. They're there for business. They're there to win. They're there to play. They're there to also speak up and speak out on the racial inequality that's going on in America right now too as well. Now, the tracking part is what I don't really appreciate about the whole rings. It kind of feels like you don't trust the players that are going there, which is fair, but at the same time, too, is that's also kind of taking away their. I don't want to say taking away their freedom because like it's not like a big ankle bracelet where you have to wear that. It's kind of something small, but at the same time, too, I don't. Me personally, when I don't like being known that like there's limitations to what some things I can and cannot do. Like if I go outside, I can't walk down this far past the house and I gotta turn around. Like no, I want to be able to walk around my whole entire development where I live. You know what I mean? Is that like that's the only part. Like I've been against the bubble. I kind of feel like it's stupid almost to a certain point because you're trapping players for 3 months unless your teams like Portland Trailblazers and the Pelicans are on the outside looking in. They might leave pretty soon. So I don't know. I wonder how you feel about this.
I think if we do dive into the science of it, it comes down to daily testing. If you they're working on trying to get saliva testing, which can give more speedy results than the current alternative. And I think that if you can every day have all your players test, get the results, everyone's negative, they can go out and do whatever. And if they show up positive, they'll stay in the room. And if you don't even need to contact trace at that point because everyone there is getting tested. So I think they should be allowed to go out and do whatever during the day, like let them live their lives. And if you can have that capacity of daily testing, you wake up in the morning, you use your saliva. Okay, I'm negative. Maybe you print out a little sticker, you wear it to validate it. And then whoever's positive, they got to stay in their room until they get a double negative on the testing. From what I've heard, that's what it seems like to do. That way, if someone shows up positive, for example, if Joel Embiid were to come up positive, you don't need to go back to Ben Simmons and all of them and isolate all of them because they're already getting daily testing. So I think that's the best way to do it. Unfortunately, for teams, it's going to suck for their players to if they are going to miss time. But you know what? Like this is the only way you're going to be able to do it. You're not going to have it perfect. So this is the best case scenario. Again, respect to Adam Silver. We've emphasized that so many times on the show. And compared to the other leagues, they've done a lot better job. I think that high efficient daily testing is the best way to do it.
He's way better than Rob Minford. I'll make that case.
Great. So no, I think daily testing is going to be the key factor. I'm curious to see how they'll continue. They're getting a lot of good services. It's not like they're going to be stuck in a room the whole day. I think that we talk about the 2-week isolation period. That's because that's how long we think it takes the virus to get out. You could be positive one day and be negative 5 days later, and then you're no longer obviously spreading it if you're negative. So, I mean, you should be able to go out at that point if you can have the capacity of daily testing at speedy results. Otherwise, it's going to be more difficult. I think that's one of the keys to returning to society. Fortunately, we're learning more and more every day about the virus versus in March, where if Rudy Gobert has it, we have no idea what's going on. But now it seems more obvious that, like, okay, if a guy gets it and you're a young guy and you're getting the right medical help, then you're going to end up being okay. Now, a lot of people are talking about the raise in cases. Fortunately, the raise in cases in most areas are not correlating with the deaths, which means we're more aware of who's at risk. We're keeping people safe, and we have much more advanced care. And hopefully in the future, I'm not going to say there's a cure or a vaccine or anything like that because that can take time. But if we're more aware of what we can do to help people, it's going to be great because we don't want people dying unnecessarily. At the same time, we also do need to acknowledge that things need to get opened up without unnecessarily risking people. And that's why I think having awareness is the key. And that's why daily testing, maybe not with the smart rings, but using actual testing, getting fast-paced results is going to be the key to making sure that any sport can safely return. Because if all the guys are negative, then you're fine going out there sharing sweat. You're fine going out there sharing water bottles because you're negative. It's pretty simple.
One last thing on this for me. I will say this though. I'm not a doctor. All right. I emphasize that a lot when I get into this topic. And I'm gonna make it very, very clear. The media lies about the deaths and about the live cases. There's been a lot of survivors from this thing. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. I'm not going out and saying go hug everybody you see, because that's not what I'm saying. We're not saying that. But we're also trying to tell you too is the media lies about the deaths and about the people that survive. All right, and a lot of deaths are people at the age of 16 or which was the original start. So I think NBA players are gonna be fine. I do. I like I said, I'm not going out hugging like everybody, but yeah, they'll be all right. I think daily testing will be cool.
Most importantly, too, it's your choice as a player. You're getting paid a lot of money. I think it's the right thing to do to go out with your teammates. And so, obviously, the Kyrie Irving take, we've talked about that. But right now, we're talking about the health take. If you feel you're risking your health, if you think that you're at risk, or maybe with family members that's at risk, maybe you don't want to go. Obviously, daily testing is going to be important, things like that. So, we're going to get to our debate for today in just a quick second. Before then, we do have a quick video for you explaining how you can support our talk show.
Would you like to know how you can support the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show? If so, head down to the comments on our YouTube channel. You will see two links there. The first is our Teespring, where you can see a wide variety of apparel products, including our signature product, the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show sweatshirts, offered in a variety of different colors, including gray, navy blue, and more. Finally, we have our Patreon page, where you can become a monthly donation member. 10% of all donations go towards an organization of
Apologize, folks, if we did have any echo problems. We're getting that situated. But again, there are a few different things you can do to help us out, including with the Teespring. We have a wide variety of products on there. You can also donate directly to Patreon. And 10% of all donations this month are going towards Shriners Hospital for Children. And then next month, we'll be deciding then what we'll be doing. We might actually extend the deadline for this month because we did start the show a little bit later in the month. Gavin, do you have any words you want to state on that? Otherwise, we'll get started with the debate.
Yeah, look, Shriners Hospital is a great place. They give kids opportunities to do things they didn't think they would be able to dream of doing. So I mean that's a great place. I'm glad we decided to donate there. Those are amazing people down there and all over the world, and they just love helping kids, fulfill some of their dreams. And you'll be surprised what those kids can do after they get their prostate arm, leg, or whatever they need. So yeah, help us donate to them.
Definitely great. And folks, if you have any questions or suggestions on how we can either improve the show, obviously we like to hear suggestions as well as other places to donate to. We can always do that. So we're going to pull Gavin right back in here. We have about 8 minutes to get our debate in for today. Gavin, how will Baker Mayfield do this year with his Cleveland Browns?
He's gonna be trash. Look, Baker Mayfield's not a good quarterback. You can make the case and say, well, he didn't have great coaches or he didn't do this, but there should be no excuse because look at the guys around him: Nick Chubb, Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, and David Njoku. The defense is somewhat elite too. They're not like top 10, or they're not top 5, but they're top 10. You got 2 young corners, and you got Myles Garrett, and then you got decent safeties. And also too, look, Baker Mayfield is the only thing I feel like holding Cleveland back. You got 2 great running backs, like Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers. And David Njoku, who's not bad either. And the offensive line, you can make a case that the offensive line is not the best, but if it's not the best, how come Nick Chubb was able to run through it? Look, Baker Mayfield is holding that team back. I don't think Baker Mayfield was even worth the first pick. I still think they should have went the Saquon Barkley route and then turned around and got like another quarterback. I think that Baker Mayfield needs to be, or I think they need another quarterback. I think Cam Newton will be perfect there. I think Cam Newton should be there and Baker Mayfield should take the back seat. But people are going to be like, well, Baker Mayfield won him a game. Look, DeShone Kizer wasn't the greatest, all right? That Browns team was just awful. Just straight garbage and awful mixed together. And if you take a look at what Baker Mayfield has done, yeah, he's won games, but he always underperforms. You could make a case saying, well, he didn't have that many. So what is the case for this year? You have 2 good wide receivers and 2 good running backs. One came back after an 8-game suspension, which he still did his thing after that, and a tight end that got hurt. But what is your point? Baker Mayfield always underperforms and will stay underperforming. I think it's time. If he doesn't take them to the playoffs this year, I think you got to look at Baker Mayfield and the coach and be like, I don't know who it is. Both of them need to go, or they might need somebody else. I think Baker Mayfield is holding them back.
I disagree. I think was he worth the first overall pick? I don't think so. He is a similar build to Drew Brees. He's a little more athletic, I'd say. Drew Brees wasn't so successful. His first stint obviously got hurt, went to another team. Baker Mayfield's surrounded by a lot of weapons, a lot of hype, a lot of alpha personalities in that locker room. You need a strong coach to make sure you don't lose track of things. And so Baker Mayfield made a lot of bad decisions last year, threw a lot of picks. A lot of guys have fixed their interception problems. I think if he fixes them, then they're a better team. I also think the coaching was really bad last year. It was really bad. I think that you can't overcome bad coaching in the NFL. In the NBA, you can take the ball yourself and shoot it. You can make plays happen. In the NFL, you got guys running routes. You got to understand their strengths. You got to understand their weaknesses. When they brought Kareem Hunt in, they were a little better last year. They did end up losing to the Bengals in the final week of the season to put the final nail into the coffin for them. But I think the Browns are not a playoff team. I think they're an 8-8 team, 9-7 at best. But I do think that they do have a potential to be better this year. And if they're not better this year, then yes, I think Baker Mayfield will be the problem. But I think Baker Mayfield will do well this year. It's another coach. It's his fourth playbook he's learning in his third year, which I think is stupid and overwhelming. I'm not a big fan of firing a coach after a quarterback's first or second year. But so I think that they really have the potential to go out there and be something good. I'm not going to buy the hype on their team, but I think they have a good run game. They're going to utilize it. 2 really good wide receivers, 2 fantastic tight ends in now Austin Hooper and David Njoku. I think that it's up to Baker Mayfield this year, but the coaching has to be there. The run-pass balance has to be there. Utilize Nick Chubb, utilize Kareem Hunt as good as you can.
It's like the same thing we can make for Dak Prescott. You got all these pieces. Situations are different. We're looking at Baker Mayfield like, why have you not been in the playoffs yet? We look at Dak Prescott like, all right, show us that you're worth the money. They all got pieces. Now it's time to now it revolves around you. You got to put those pieces into action. You have Odell Beckham Jr. Odell Beckham Jr. made Eli Manning look good. Let that sink in. Eli Manning has not done anything since his Super Bowl, and after that, he made 1 playoff appearance. That was horrible. And Odell kept Eli Manning somewhat relevant. You got Odell Beckham Jr. on your team. Let's take a look at Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry had Ryan Tannehill thrown to him. When Ryan Tannehill went down, I forgot who the other quarterback was. Was it Brock Osweiler?
That was 2 years ago. I think Landry may have already been in Cleveland by that point, but he's had a lot of guys throwing to him in Miami.
Exactly. So you got those guys, and he still came out on top. Good. They're both on your team, Baker. Clock's ticking, okay? David Njoku, he got hurt last year. Austin Hooper, the best tight end they ever – well, not the best from Atlanta, but that was Matt Ryan's safety blanket when Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley were being covered. Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt was arguably top 5 running back before everything happened. And then Nick Chubb has entered the top 10 discussion, maybe even top 5 arguably, but I don't think so top 5 just yet. So now the ball's in your court. You guys show up. I don't think he shows up. I think they do the same thing last year, and I think we look at Baker Mayfield and see now it's we got rid of Hugh Jackson. They also got, I think they got rid of Freddie Hitchens, right? Too. I think so. And so now we're like, all right, that's 3 coaches now. If you don't have success under this coach, we gotta start looking at you. You were not worth the first overall pick. All right, I'd still believe there was another quarterback, and you can make the same thing for Sam Darnold too. Because Sam Darnold, you saw ghosts on Monday night. Okay, Castor was all right. Castor, the friendly ghost, is playing defense now. That's a good one. Look, both those guys are on the in my opinion, they're on the clock. They haven't showed anything. Sam Darnold looks like he gets better here and there. You can make the case. Mono took him out for the season, comes back, lights up Dallas. Okay, now Sam Darnold. Now let's see what you're really made of. You have no one to throw to this year, and I think that's buys Sam Darnold another year because of that. But Baker Mayfield, all eyes are on you, Mr. Heisman winner.
Kevin Stefanski made Kirk Cousins look good. I think he'll do the same thing with Baker Mayfield with the play action, things like that. Thanks, everybody, for tuning into the show today. It's a great Monday here on the show. It's a very good hour, I'd say the least. Tomorrow we do have Gavin. Do you want to make the special announcement for our guest tomorrow?
So, guys, we have been working since week 1, first show, to get my friend, former NFL running back for the Cowboys, Eagles, and Titans, DeMarco Murray, to come join us. And we want to talk to – we hope he can come join us tomorrow. And I think he is coming to join us tomorrow. We're going to talk a little bit of college football, his time in the NFL. And we're just going to have a little fun, too. So make sure you come back. It's going to be a great one.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll see you all tomorrow at 12 o'clock. If you can't catch the show live, you can always watch it afterwards on the YouTube channel. Currently putting together a weekly playlist Until next time, everyone, thanks for watching and have a